What's going on, Del HS Nation? Welcome back to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm First State Hoops Report founding editor and Holding Court host Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. It's summertime. The kids are on vacation, even though most of the basketball players will be playing basketball, and the administrators are happy to have a break for about 2.5 months. I still can't get over the fact that school starts before Labor Day. I'm old school. This will be the 30th anniversary of my ninth grade year at Howard coming up. September 6th, 1995. I remember that was my first day at Howard as a student. I had already been there because I was trying out for the football team. You guys already know the story about how I'm a terrible football player. But we didn't start school until after Labor Day. And I think we need to go back to that. Because the kids deserve to have a full summer, and the teachers and vice principals and everybody else that works in the school needs a full summer as well. So that's my take on the matter. I have a lot of takes if you guys haven't noticed, if you're new to this. But yeah, summer's out. Summer's here, school's out, and we've got a lot of great basketball. We've got Philly Live going on right now. Of course, there's a lot of things going on out Spooky Nuke. Czech Rock has two locations now. There's a Monday night down at the Chase, and Wednesdays at Coach Lonnie Wright's MBN Center, which I still need to get over there. One of these days, I'm gonna get over to the MBN. I know the Chase. I know how to get to the Chase by the back of my hand, but the MBN is still another matter. I got to get that over there somehow, some way. But we're starting to see, a lot of separation being made. Like, I'm surprised just watching the Instagram reels and just how some of these kids who, are growing, not just literally, but figuratively. There are some kids that picked up some height. There are some kids that have picked up some bounce. There are some kids that have picked up some dribbles and some jump shots. So we're very much looking forward to seeing how all of this translates once we get to high school basketball season in November and December. But the big news of the week in Delaware High School sports, which is basically what this entire episode is about the ruling that happened Thursday in the DIAA closed session. And that, of course, was that Middletown will be placed on probation and fined a neat and tidy sum of $200 for inadvertently using an ineligible player during their football championship year this past fall. And I've talked about this with colleagues and, folks close to the high school sports game. And I want people to be clear before I speak, before I go on record saying what I'm going to say. It's nothing you haven't heard me say before, but I feel like it's important to repeat. But before I go on the record saying this, Chris Stevens does not have any extra information other than what has been reported. That because it's in a closed session, and when DIAA closes sessions, that means nobody in the public knows, not the media, not the schools, not the fans. The only people that know are the people in that closed session, and they ain't talking. So, I'm just going off of what's been reported by my colleagues like Sean Green at WDEL, Kevin Trezzolini and Brad Myers at the News Journal, and, just reading their reports and surmising my own 2 cents from this. That's actually the name of my personal podcast, Chris 2 Cents. I'll drop a link to that in the description below if you guys want to hear my thoughts on things other than high school basketball. But, do I agree with the ruling? Not for me to say. But what I can say is I did see a friend of our program, Marty Sheehan, of course, who co-hosts the Delaware High School football podcast with John Busby. He said, we're in the Wild Wild West now. And I'm going to agree with Marty on that, only with this caveat. You can only have a lawless land after people start to see that the laws don't apply to them in certain instances. We've seen that going on in this country right now with the leadership. I digress. But if it turns into the Wild Wild West, as Marty is predicting, this could have been avoided 10, 15, 20 years ago when public schools started to first go on that, that decline that has just been, a hill just going downhill ever since. And no one seemed to be bothered by it because, well, charter schools became a thing. Let's think about this. Newark Charter got a brand new football field before Newark High did. There's going to be another high school built in the Middletown area. Can you name a high school that's been built above the canal in the 21st century public high school? Just saying. I mean, everybody has a right to be upset about the way things are going, but there are so many roads that led us to here. I mean, when you start thinking about how charter schools became a thing because people said, okay, now we can use this as a tax thing and we can invite the kids we want to invite and keep out the kids that we don't want or we don't care to educate or don't think that we can reach. And to me, that spits in the face of everything that public education and education in this country is supposed to be. Because if you're a teacher, if you're an educator worth your salt, you're going to try to get to these kids at every possible cost. Like I can tell you from personal experience, because no, I was never a bad kid, but I was a follow the leader type when I was in grade school. And I found out she passed away recently, so this broke my heart because I wanted to reach out to her and say thank you for putting me on the right path. But when I was at St. Peter's, there was a lady named Miss Sandra Draper who became my third grade teacher. And she saw that I was following behind a bunch of kids that were just being knuckleheads. And she looked at me and said, I know you were raised better than that. And me and that woman butted heads, but I came out better for it. And I just Googled her out of curiosity and I saw that she had passed away a couple years ago. I was like, ain't this about a... I hate when that happens. But yeah, Mrs. Draper, wherever you are, thank you for teaching me that it was cool to be my own person. But that's the kind of educators we had back in the day. We had people who would try because a lot of kids just want to see that you care. They don't need you to be their best friend. I mean, even though I do like the handshakes that a lot of these teachers, the younger teachers come up with the kids nowadays, the handshakes and the greetings and all of that, that's cool. If you can reach them that way, reach them that way. But mostly kids want to be heard. Kids want to be seen. Kids want to be felt. And, they want to be treated as human beings. I mean, I don't have any kids, so I can't, speak to parenting styles or anything like that. But I can tell you from experience that some kids you just need to just gently guide them in the way that they need to be guided and not let them just veer off on their own path. And if we had more of that, public education in Delaware would be in a lot better shape. But a lot of public educators have been chased off probably because a lot of administrations don't support them. These charter schools and private schools, they invite who they want to invite and leave the kids they feel are lesser than out of the equation. Just calling it like I see it. This is my opinion. I mean, I run this whole operation, so I don't even have to say the thoughts of Chris Stevens are not those reflected by First State Hoops Report, because guess what? I am First State Hoops Report, and I'm not a hard person to find. But that being said, the point I'm trying to make here is we can be upset that kids and their parents are gaming the system, but the system left itself open to be gamed, quite honestly. Because if you can sit here and tell a kid that, no, you're not allowed to attend here because this isn't your feeder pattern, or this is where we need more students because if this school falls below this amount, then we have to think about closing it. The time for worrying about schools closing and administrative duties and population and all of that, again, was 10, 15, 20 years ago. You can't put a band-aid from 2005, 2015, 2020 on a 2025, 2026 bullet wound. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. And the kid and the parents, I mean, granted, and I'm going to hold my parents' hands gently when I say this. There are some parents who may be just a little misguided about their kids' athletic potential. I mean, there are some talented kids that play basketball and football and everything else in the state of Delaware. Not saying there aren't. I'm saying there's some parents that might overplay their hand with hopes of getting their kid in the right situation to get them off to college or something, or pros or something. And I get it. A parent's responsibility is to make sure their child has a better life than they had. Full stop, flat out. Like, my mother never, she never saw anything for me less than greatness. I wanted to be a truck driver as a kid. My mom said I was too smart to be a truck driver. So I ended up being a journalist. How smart am I to get into a field that doesn't make that much money isn't on the verge of collapse? But, things happen, right? Things happen. These are the things. This is life. Life swings you in different directions and all of that. But a parent's first responsibility is to make sure or try to give their kid a better life than they had growing up. And I get why a lot of these parents do it. They see that this kid that's at Sanford or Salesianum or St. Elizabeth's or Ursuline or Padua or even a Middletown or an Apple or a Dover or a Smyrna or a Cape or shucks, even a Howard. I mean, I can't even lie. My school, I mean, I'm a Howard guy. I graduated from Howard, class of 99. And just to see how we never had the football and basketball programs be good at the same time when I was at Howard. Matter of fact, the football program was not very good when I was at Howard. So imagine Howard being a favorite coming into 2025-26 in football and basketball. Those of us who graduated from Howard in the late 90s and in the 80s and 70s and on back, think about that. Think about that. Howard being a favorite to win a football state championship and a basketball championship in the same year. That never happened before. It was either basketball, track and field, or bust. I mean, the football program didn't get good until my guy Dan Ritter showed up. Shouts out to Coach Ritter, who always gives me a hard time, playfully, of course, when I come to cover a game at Howard. But that's how it was back in those days. I mean, but now I got to add Howard to the equation. I can't sit here and say that Howard is the little sisters of the poor because it's not the truth anymore. But it's still Howard still isn't Sal's, still ain't Sanford, still ain't Caravel. They're still tied to the VOTEC system, which for better, honestly, I think it's more for better than for worse. Because Howard, granted, Howard was the only high school. I mean, Mark Sills, the great Mark Sills, who of course has all sorts of basketball roots and social activism, and is the head of the Afro-American Sports Hall of Fame here in Delaware. He was on a podcast recently talking about how back in the day, Howard was the only high school black kids could go to for a time. Like kids literally came from Dover to go to Howard back in the pre-Brown versus Board of Education days. So, I mean, Howard has traditional roots in the struggle, but now it feels like that isn't the case anymore. But they're still fighting an uphill battle because that Howard team that got smoked by Caravel in the D2, I mean not the D2s, pardon me, the 2A finals, they probably win Division II any other year. But it just doesn't work out because Caravel just had more talent at the time. But I want people to be clear about this: is that parents, their job is to get the best opportunity for their children. And if you're a basketball player, you can probably identify 5 or 10 programs off the rip that supersede any public school. On the girls' side, it's a little clear. Girls' side, it's a lot clearer. You have Ursuline, you have Sanford, you have St. Elizabeth, you have Caravel. You could throw Padua in there. Yeah, because Padua's had a really good team under Denise Igosak in the last few years, and I don't expect that to change either. I expect them to still be good. So there's a lot. You could put, again, 5 girls programs on one hand that could be, state champions and get, showcases and things that, your kids want to, you want your kids to be seen at so they can get college coaches to look at them. On the boys' side, it's a little less restricted. You still have your privates. Sanford won it this year. Sal's probably could have won it this year as well. St. Elizabeth, I honestly thought St. Elizabeth was going to win it this year. I really did. But it didn't work out. But yeah, St. Elizabeth, even though St. Elizabeth just lost their starting backcourt. Golly. This transfer system, man, this new era, it affects everybody now. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, you could send the kid to Howard. You could send him to Apple. You could even send him to Middletown. Shout out to my guy, Coach Ali, another former Wildcat. So, and even downstate, Dover was literally in the state championship game again after winning it for the first time in 2024. Smyrna's always put out good programs. Cape probably has a team that we should be talking about a lot more on the boys' side in 2025, 2026. So if you're a basketball parent and you see which kids are getting at least, maybe not Division I scholarships, they're getting a lot of interest from low-level D1s and high-level D2s and D3s that will help pay for their education. And that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity you probably don't have if your kid, unfortunately, and this isn't me knocking those schools. I don't want people to misinterpret this as me I'm a public school advocate. I would love for these schools to be great. Like AI. AI's girls program under Lucky Price has just been tremendous in recent years. McCain on the boys' side, Steph Johnson, another former Wildcat. Howard is everywhere all over the state, whether y'all like it or not. Howard is everywhere. So, Steph Johnson at McCain, I mean, I think he does a good job, with what he has. Chris Law's at Glasgow. There are so many, schools that could benefit from some sort of equality system to make sure that kids, want to stay at their schools. But the way education is so slanted here in Delaware, it just makes it virtually impossible. And then when you see that Sanford's getting great kids, Sal's is getting great kids, St. Mark's is getting great kids, Middletown, Howard, Dover, Smyrna, Cape, on and on and on it goes. Parents are going to look at that and say, I'm putting my kid in the best situation. I don't care what it takes. Because these parents just literally want better for their kids. It's really that simple. To me, anyway. Other people might feel differently, but to me, it's really as simple as parents doing things in the best interest for their kids. At the same time, like I said before, there is some level of Delulu, and Delulu is never the Salulu. Not everybody's going to make first team All-State. Not everybody's going to make, even first, second, third team or honorable mention, for crying out loud. That's just how it works. I mean, not everybody wins everything all the time, but everybody can. I mean, maybe we have reached a wild, wild west era of high school athletics in Delaware, but it could have been avoided. That's the moral of the story. It could have been avoided. If the people at Legislative Hall in Dover had taken public education a lot more seriously in the earlier part of this century, we'd be talking a whole different ballgame right now. But we've got charter schools, we've got alumni from private schools, wealthy alumni donating tens of millions of dollars to build new fields and gyms and all of this stuff. And public schools are not getting that same charity because that's up to the states to provide that for them. And the state isn't doing it. So, I mean, they're putting it, they'll find a way to donate. They'll find a way to, siphon this off the charter schools somehow, but public schools, forget it, unless you're below the canal. So this is uniquely a Wilmington problem. Again, because Wilmington does not have a public high school. It has not had one since Wilmington High turned into Wilmington Charter in 1999. So everyone can be upset about what's going on with Middletown. Oh, Middletown got away with it. Oh, the parents are gaming the system, blah, 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 blah. The system left itself open to be gamed. It is really that simple. And I hope people sit with that. I hope people understand that the jack is out of the box. The cat's out of the bag. What's the other word? What's the other term I'm looking for here? I'll just use what Birdman said. The cake been baked, Wody. The cake been baked. It's that simple. The system left itself open to be gamed, and people and parents and kids are gonna game it to their advantage. Game on. And that's gonna do it for this edition of Holding Court. Thank you guys for rocking with me. As always, contact information and socials for First State Hoops Report will all be in the description below. If you want to get in contact with me, you can email us. That'll be in the description too. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So we'll have more Holding Courts. And then, of course, we'll have highlights from basketball season as we get out to these gyms and different things. So thank y'all for watching. Until the next time we talk, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.